The beast charges and the ground shakes, and chaos erupts in a flash, accompanied by an earth-shattering roar. The footage sent back by the hunters left us breathless, so raw, so real, it chills you to the bone. Do they have the nerve to pull the trigger at the right moment? Or will the wild boar flip the script in the blink of an eye? Get ready, because what you're about to witness is a brutal, no-holds-barred chase you won't forget. Kicking off today's hunt, we take you to New South Wales, where endless post-harvest fields stretch to the horizon, forming the perfect terrain for high-speed chases. At 6 a.m., Nathan's team arrives at the rendezvous point, locked and loaded. Nathan puts his off-road driving skills to work, tearing across the field in search of signs left behind by boars that love to hide out here. There, a massive wild hog, easily over 400 pounds, is being cornered by one of the hunting dogs. Its escape cut off. Nathan swerves in fast, jumps out of the vehicle, raises his rifle, ready to finish the job. Nathan reacts in a split second, stepping back as a single gunshot cracks through the morning air. The boar collapses, never got the chance to strike. A deadly threat neutralized right there in the open field. First blood clean, precise, and delivered just like a true hunting team should.
Tá no sal, pesada! Tá no sal!
At the very moment the showdown on the fields of New South Wales came to an end, another team was already deep inside the Carpathian Forest, a place long known as the ultimate refuge for cunning wild boars. Jude's team assembled at the forest's edge, pushing through thick weeds and treacherous marshland where every step could trigger a trap, whether set by nature or the beasts themselves. As soon as they entered, they spotted a herd of wild boars hiding beneath dense tree cover. There was no need for words. Everyone moved instinctively into firing position. The first shot rang out. The herd exploded in chaos, shrieking and scattering in every direction. Multiple shots fired in perfect unison. The beast dropped in the brush just meters from where Jude stood. As the final gunshot faded through the Carpathian Forest, the next stop on our journey led us to the Bacony Woods, a damp, densely vegetated terrain, perfect for wild boars to breed and disappear. Here, Martin, a seasoned marksman on the team, took the lead. The group quickly fanned out according to plan, everyone knowing their positions by heart. While Martin was observing from a low rise, a sudden gunshot rang out from a teammate, revealing the location of a wild boar hiding just ahead in the underbrush. Without hesitation, Martin charged in, closing the distance to the beast's hideout. A clean takedown, another mark etched into this breathless, high-stakes journey. Just when the battlefield seemed to quiet down after the chase in Bacony, a new clash erupted, this time in a completely different terrain. The Mississippi River, often seen as calm and peaceful, is, in fact, a familiar haunt for wild boars living off the grid. Leading the charge this time was Oscar, a close comrade of Jude. The team moved silently, gliding through narrow river branches in stealthy kayaks. 15 minutes passed, then Oscar squinted toward the riverbank. A herd of wild boars lounged lazily near the edge, as if they owned the land. No time to hesitate. Gunfire erupted. Two beasts dropped instantly, while the rest scattered in panic, vanishing into the depths of the forest. A river once calm now becomes the grave of invaders. Even before the bodies of the beasts had sunk into the Mississippi mud, the hunters' wheels were already turning, headed straight for their final battleground, the fields of Texas. This land, scarred by endless waves of wild boars, has cost its people millions in damage. This time, Ryan was leading the charge. The moment they arrived, the team spread out, each man in position, just as planned. Barely minutes in, a wild hog bolted panicked, racing toward the forest's edge. Could escape in time? Not a chance. Ryan opened fire. Cold, precise bursts of gunfire shadowed the beast's every frantic step. And then the final shot. It dropped right at the forest line. The very place that should have been its escape became its end. In Ohio, wild boars are breeding at an uncontrollable rate. In a short time, they've spread across vast areas, destroying crops, damaging ecosystems, and threatening entire communities. Many countries have issued warnings because these animals carry dangerous diseases that can spread to livestock and even to humans. Hunters must take action immediately, not only to protect the harvest, but also to safeguard public health. If we don't control them in time, what consequences will we face, and who will bear the cost? Wild boars cause intense destruction, run extremely fast, and often hide in decaying leaf-covered forests, very difficult to track. The fight between hunter and wild boar isn't just a simple chase if you're even one beat too slow. The predator can become prey. The barking of the hunting dogs echoed ahead, growing louder with each passing second. Clearly, they had just caught the scent of a wild boar, and it was running straight toward me. Just moments later, from a hidden corner of the forest, the boar burst out. I raised my rifle, took careful aim. Boom! The shot rang out, and the boar collapsed instantly down and gunshots echoed through the forest, ringing out from multiple directions. My teammates had clearly encountered and taken down some wild boars. And this was just the beginning. It was already this intense. This hunt was truly exhilarating. I moved into the adjacent forest, still scanning for tracks when a dark figure suddenly appeared, slipping between the trees. I immediately raised my rifle, holding my position, waiting. As soon as its full body stepped out from behind the trunk. I pulled the trigger. Bang! The wild boar collapsed on the spot without even a chance to turn around. In another corner of the forest, Michael, my teammate, had also tracked the boar's trail. Just as he raised his rifle to aim, the boar dashed across. The first shot landed clean, dropping the boar on the spot. But it wasn't over yet. A second one suddenly burst out from behind. Michael didn't hesitate. He chambered another round and pulled the trigger again. As I moved toward the direction of the barking hounds, suddenly two wild boars burst out in anger, charging straight to me. Without a second to think, I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The first shot rang out. The trailing boar dropped instantly. The hunt wasn't over yet. We were determined to take down the rest. Dark clouds began to cover the sky. We had to quickly track down the remaining boars before the rain hit. While following the trail, I suddenly heard a rustle in the bushes. Without hesitation, I raised my gun. A single shot and the boar dropped, not even getting the chance to escape. The rain had started to fall, and we had to head back. If it poured, getting out wouldn't be easy. On the way, I heard movement in the bushes. I immediately raised my gun, took aim. A dark figure darted past. I fired. But I missed. The wild boar changed direction, charging straight toward me. I quickly repositioned, cut it off. The second shot rang out. This time, it had no chance to escape. Wild boars are becoming more cunning and aggressive. They no longer fear humans. Some even roam into the fields near residential areas at night in search of food. Our hunts aren't about showing off trophies. They're about keeping things from spiraling out of control. Today's trip to Texas is no different. We're heading into a new pursuit, one where skill, focus, and sheer grit will determine everything. Using our familiar hunting tactic, we split into two teams. One scout team moved ahead with the hunting dogs to track signs, spot the target, and report its position. The other team set up an ambush, ready to open fire the moment the prey appeared. After about 15 minutes, the ambush team received the signal and immediately moved into position. There was a small wild boar burst out from a thick clump of trees. Travis, stationed at the choke point, had already raised his gun, ready for the decisive moment. And then, bang, the opening shot rang out. Taken by surprise, the boar collapsed on the spot, without even a chance to resist. To widen the ambush, we spread out and set up positions at different points. I picked a spot on a tall hunting stand where I had a wide, unobstructed view of the still forest stretching out in front of me. Down below, another wild boar appeared. It was running fast, but I had already anticipated its direction and quickly aimed my rifle to cut it off. My finger pressed firmly on the trigger. The gunshot cracked sharply through the air, swift and precise, putting the animal down in just a few short seconds. Earlier, the team had scouted the area and identified a route frequently used by the wild boars. We set up a fixed ambush point and waited patiently. Wild boars don't have sharp eyesight like deer, but they're extremely sensitive to movement. Staying completely still was a matter of survival. Sure enough, it wasn't until the boar was just 6 meters away that it suddenly realized the danger, but by then, it was too late. Without hesitation, Travis pulled the trigger at close range. A clean shot. The boar collapsed onto the dry leaves and quickly went still. After the morning raid, the forest turned unusually quiet. Since we could no longer stay in place to ambush, we decided to move deeper into the thick brush, an ideal hiding spot for wild boars. Suddenly, a sharp rustling sound stirred the bushes to my right. My instincts kicked in instantly. I raised my rifle, took aim, and bang. Just 2 seconds to react, but it was enough to take down the target right in the heart of its own territory. That moment of triumph was unmatched. The scout team once again relayed the boar's location, and the entire group quickly converged at the ambush site, fanning out to block all possible exits. With a well-coordinated encirclement, the wild boars stood almost no chance of getting away. In just 15 short minutes, several more were successfully brought down. As the day drew to a close, the pressure didn't ease. In fact, it only grew stronger. Travis suddenly spotted a herd of wild boars stealthily weaving between the thick tree trunks. One boar broke away from the group, trying to dash across the trail, unaware it had just entered the kill zone. I didn't hesitate. From the edge of the path, I pulled the trigger. The shot ended its life instantly, bringing a dramatic close to a long and intense day of hunting in the unforgiving land of the Texas Panhandle. Wild boars, bloodthirsty beasts, tear through crops, attack livestock, threaten lives, and cause millions of dollars in damage each year. Hunting them from helicopters is the only way to track these elusive creatures through rugged terrain where no man can easily reach. In the sky, only skill, nerve, and pinpoint accuracy determine who survives. Do we have what it takes to bring these monsters down from above? The helicopters roared into the sky, shattering the usual calm. Within minutes, the chaos on the ground came into sharp view, plowed up fields, torn earth, and destruction everywhere. There they were, a herd of wild boars slowly forming near the edge of the field. The pilot immediately dropped altitude, bringing the chopper low over the ground, clearing the path for us to begin the chase. Mark didn't hesitate. He aimed carefully and pulled the trigger. Gunfire rang out in rapid bursts, sweeping from the outer edge deep into the center of the herd. In an instant, boars dropped one after another, their bodies scattered across the field. At the same time, Leon's helicopter was circling above, scanning for signs of movement below. The roar of the chopper echoed across the sky as the massive herd of wild boars below scattered in frenzy, panicked and desperate to escape. Inside the cabin, Leon gripped his rifle tightly, eyes locked onto the fleeing boars amid the chaos. He steadied his breath, aimed swiftly, and pulled the trigger. Gunfire thundered across the field, bullets tearing through the soil. The boars were fast, but Leon was relentless. He pursued them to the end, bringing down each one with unwavering precision. My team and I quickly moved toward the open field nearby. This time, I was in charge of taking down the wild boars. The pilot steered the helicopter closer, giving me a clear shot at the targets. I gripped my rifle tightly and fired repeatedly. Gunshots rang out as the boars dropped one after another. This was a no-mercy pursuit, swift, ruthless, and precise. Out on the lush green field, the wild boars began their rampage once again. We quickly maneuvered the helicopter into position, ready for an intense sweep. The aircraft closed in, steadily narrowing the distance to the targets. But the boars were cunning, they kept shifting direction, making it difficult to get a clean shot. Still, our marksmen were unfazed. They dealt with this kind of trickery before. Working closely with the pilot, we closed in. Gunfire erupted in rapid bursts. Within minutes, the wild boars had fallen, putting an end to the destruction of the field. There, a herd of wild boars had gathered below, as usual. We moved in closer, the roar of the rotor echoing across the sky. Startled, the boars scattered in panic, trying to flee. But we gave them no chance to escape. Closing in fast, we opened fire. The shots rang out in quick, decisive bursts, no hesitation. Within minutes, the boars lay motionless across the freshly harvested field. The helicopter veered in, closing the distance to give us a clear shot. Within minutes, gunfire erupted, echoing through the sky. Everywhere we flew, the only thing left behind were motionless bodies of them. Wild boars, monstrous beasts weighing up to 300 pounds with razor-sharp tusks. They tear through pastures, attack people and livestock, and cause millions of dollars in damage each year. Traps and fences are useless against these relentless invaders. There's only one way to stop them: hunt them down right to their lairs in the treacherous swamps. And only the toughest hunters dare to face them head-on. So who will survive this brutal battle? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit right now. This hunt is more dangerous than ever. We're venturing deep into the territory of these beasts where they hide skillfully in the dense forest. To avoid ambush, we've brought along a pack of well-trained hunting dogs. They track swiftly and alert us the moment prey is near. In this mission, our dogs are not just trackers, they're our eyes, our ears, and our first line of defense. Today, I'm heading into a particularly treacherous area with Bernie, where towering grass provides perfect cover for wild boars. The team split up and moved into our assigned positions. After just 10 minutes of searching, the hunting dogs began barking furiously inside the thicket. We locked our eyes on the direction of the noise, tracking every movement. Suddenly, a massive wild boar burst out of the grass, charging straight toward Bernie. Wasting no time, we took our shot. The shots rang out in rapid succession, and the boar collapsed into the tall grass. After that breathless skirmish, we quickly moved on to track the next targets. In the distance, the figures of wild boars emerged, slowly roaming through thick patches of grass in search of food. We didn't fire right away. Instead, we hid carefully in the bushes, waiting for them to come closer. Then, gunshots rang out across the swamp. Each one was swift and accurate, taking down the ferocious beast. This place is a true haven for wild boars, with an abundance of food all around. Just 15 minutes in, Silas had already spotted his target. It burst out from the towering reeds, but quickly collapsed, unable to escape after Silas's precise shot. We picked a good vantage point and used binoculars to scout the area there. They were a herd of wild boars foraging on the forest floor, completely unaware of what they approached. Perfect shot. A thunderous bang echoed, and one boar dropped instantly. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing into the Deep within the stillness of the palm thickets, Bernie was quietly tracking a separate target. The boar emerged from behind a palm. Trunk Bernie raised his rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. Perfect. A precise shot, the boar collapsed on the spot, without a chance to react. One shot was all it took to bring it down. The swamp terrain here is truly treacherous, riddled with dangers we usually try to avoid.